Here's what I'm dealing with: a messy wall of storage bins stacked everywhere. Today I'm going to fix that with a simple DIY rack. To start this project, I began breaking down my 2x4s to size. I made build plans for this project that include a detailed cut list for this step, and you can find those plans in the video description. After cutting all the pieces down, I'll refer to them as Part A, the shelf supports, Part B, the vertical supports, and Part C, the horizontal supports. I also made spacer pieces with some leftover scraps, and I'll refer to those as spacers D, E, and F. Here you can see my project on SketchUp. I will need a total of 5 ladders: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 of these ladders will have shelf supports on only one side, and I will call those ladder X. And 3 ladders will need shelf supports on both sides, and I will call those ladder Y. To begin, I grabbed 2 vertical supports and 4 shelf supports. I then grabbed spacer D and laid it flush to the end of the vertical support. Next, I placed the first shelf support against the spacer and applied 2 2.5-inch screws. I then set aside spacer D and grabbed spacer E to use for the rest of the ladder. I continued laying the shelf supports into place and fastening them down with 2 screws each. After finishing one side, I walked around the workbench and fastened down the other side, following the same steps as before. Okay, let's freeze for a second. So that's how you make both X ladders, which are for the end of the rack. Now I'm going to show you how to make the Y ladders, which are for the middle of the rack. So continue on by flipping the ladder over, and yeah, you guessed it, repeat all of those steps again. I know this part is repetitive, but it goes rather quick once you get going. While I'm knocking out the rest of these ladders, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. And again, there is a link to the build plans in the video description if you are interested in building this rack. After completing the ladder assemblies, I rolled the workbench aside and moved the project to the floor. Next, I laid out the 2 end ladders first and came back with a horizontal support. This will be applied to the bottom of the ladder and fastened with 2 2.5-inch screws on each end. It's best to have all these parts against the wall like this so they won't slide away from you when you are applying the screws. After that, I grabbed spacer F and laid it against the ladder and then placed a double-sided ladder against it. Ensuring everything was in place, I fastened it with 2 screws. I continued installing the rest of the ladders with 2 screws apiece while using spacer F. I then slid the rack away from the wall and added another horizontal support, repeating the same steps as before. After I finished that side, I needed to flip the entire rack over to finish putting on the last 2 horizontal supports. Now the rack isn't exactly light at this point in the build, so ask someone to help you if you can when flipping it. Anyways, I finished up the rack and sat it right side up and moved it aside for now. Now I could work on the top shelf, which will be a piece of plywood. So I laid out some mats to elevate the plywood off the ground and then marked out the measurements I needed. So to cut out this without using a track saw, freehand the first cut about 1 inch proud of the marked measurement. This doesn't have to be perfect, just try to keep it close. Then slide the remaining plywood on top and use the factory edge of that plywood as the guide rail for your circular saw. After lining up your cut, clamp the 2 pieces of plywood together and make your final cut. I then took that piece and laid it on top of the rack and flushed the edges of all 4 corners. I followed that by fastening it to the rack in the 4 corners and the middle ladder using 2.5-inch screws. The last thing to install to the rack are these corner braces. They will add strength to the rack and help prevent it from racking back and forth. I continued using the 2.5-inch screws for these as well. I applied these braces to all 8 corners, 4 on the front and 4 on the back. Now that the rack was finished, I was ready to test the fit by fully loading it with the storage bins. Everything fit just as expected, so I moved it into our storage room. It's amazing what a simple build can do. This small upgrade made our storage room feel twice as useful. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're interested in the build plans, I left a link for those in the video description. The Bible verse for this video will be Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, and Jesus says here, Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Now, what Jesus is basically saying here is that you never have to do anything alone. And if you're tired or stressed, take a minute and remember that invitation. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.